The Buccaneers are now on the clock. The Texans are now on the clock. The Giants are now on the clock. The Jaguars are now on the clock. The Houston Oilers are now on the clock. The Jets are now on the clock. Now that the Jets have made their pick, let's go to Adam Schefter to hear more about him.
A veritable interception machine, he holds his college's single-game record for interceptions in a game, snagging 3. Scouts pointed to an almost sixth sense when the ball was in the air, and Matt Miller had him ranked as the top defensive back in the draft in his final mock. True lockdown defensive backs are few and far between, and this is a pick that should solidify this team's pass defense for years to come. It'll be very interesting to see if opposing offenses go right after him and how if he shows any rust after being avoided for much of his final year in college.
The Bills are now on the clock. The Panthers are now on the clock. The Panthers pick is in. Adam, did Cam Newton get some help?
He was one of the school's best soccer athletes before making the switch to football. He had little experience before playing Pop Warner in high school, but he definitely went through an adjustment period early in the season. Fast forward to today, and he's being drafted as a pure athlete with a lot of potential to play in different positions. It all depends on how the coaches want to utilize his talents. I'm curious to see where he'll be lining up once the preseason rolls around.
Pick's been made. Let's go to Adam Schefter to hear more about the player.
He was having a relatively quiet season this year, but we all know how one big showing can quickly turn things around. His late-game heroics in Hail Mary went down as one of the greatest moments of the entire season. Since then, he's continued to show a knack for stepping up his level of play in clutch situations and was able to pull off a string of impressive victories, each time increasing his draft stock. Some say you can only capture lightning in a bottle once, but I believe he can do it again. And apparently, his team does too.
The Broncos are now on the clock. The Chargers are now on the clock. Our very own Adam Schefter has more to say about this pick.
He stole a lot of thunder from one of the better receiver prospects at the All-Star game, and it helped him get noticed by scouts around the league. He made one of the biggest studs in college disappear from the game, netting 0 catches and only a few targets. He played lockdown defense all day, removing his assignment from the play almost every time. And whenever a pass was thrown to the receiver, he was the first player to have a hand on the ball. The coaches left him on an island on his own, and he was more than capable in single coverage. The team is fortunate to have picked him up before anyone else could, and I'm sure he can have an immediate impact on their secondary.
The Bears are now on the clock. The Cowboys are now on the clock. The Colts are now on the clock. The Saints are now on the clock. The Browns are now on the clock. The Browns are now on the clock. The Packers are now on the clock. The Vikings are now on the clock. The Raiders are now on the clock. The Bengals are now on the clock. The Cowboys are now on the clock. The 49ers are now on the clock. The Chiefs are now on the clock. The Buccaneers are now on the clock. The Texans are now on the clock. All right, now that the pick's in, let's go to Adam. Adam, what can you tell us about this guy?
He was always a player who cared about academics, and that couldn't have been made any more clear when he decided to forego his senior season in order to take on more classes. His goal was to graduate before entering the NFL draft, and at the sacrifice of his final year of football eligibility, he was able to pull it off. The decision left some experts scratching their heads, but guys like Matt Miller saw it as a smart move to stay injury-free and remove the distraction of getting his diploma once he went pro. At least with the degree, he has a backup job now in case this whole football thing doesn't work out for him.
The Browns are now on the clock. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a trade. The Jets are now on the clock. The Redskins are now on the clock. The Falcons are now on the clock. The Bills are now on the clock. The Panthers are now on the clock. The Patriots are now on the clock. The Giants are now on the clock. The Ravens are now on the clock. The Seahawks are now on the clock. The Broncos are now on the clock. The Chargers are now on the clock.
How come nobody's at the podium? That's because both teams are right now working on a trade.
Now that White's off the board, Adam, what do you have on him?
I'm not surprised to see him taken with this pick, given he was probably one of the most dominant defensive linemen in college this season. His combination of athleticism and set of pass rush moves gave college offensive linemen fits and gave him a leg up on the rest of the competition. Pass rushers are at a premium in the NFL these days, and when someone with his talent is available, you need to take him. If his performance this season is any indication, he has the potential to be a playmaker on the defensive line for years to come.
The Steelers are now on the clock. The Bears are now on the clock. The Dolphins are now on the clock.
I see both teams filling out cards. You know what that means? We've got a trade.
The Colts are now on the clock. The Colts pick is in. Adam, give us the rundown.
If you go back and watch his pro day workout, you'll see this guy was a beast. One NFL defensive line coach put him through a brutal series of drills, and he came out of each one hungry for more. Matt Miller watched him on the sidelines and noticed he never took a knee, never got water, was always quick back to the line for another round. I spoke with the coach who ran his drills, and even he came away very impressed. It was his goal to find the kid's breaking point, but it never made an appearance. He's got a motor I can see causing fits for any offensive line. With this pick, their defensive line just got a much-needed injection of energy and attitude.
The Vikings are now on the clock. The Colts are now on the clock. All right, team is now off the clock. Adam Schefter, can you tell us about their newest player?
He was a force to be reckoned with whenever his team was in the red zone. Defenses knew he was coming and still couldn't stop him. As Matt Miller put it, he's a hard-nosed, north-to-south style runner who knows when to lower his shoulder and power through the line for the score. Finishing the year with over 30 touchdowns was an impressive feat, and enough to set a new school record for rushing scores in a season. He's the type of running back that has a nose for the end zone and the chance to reach it every time he touches the ball, whether it's from the 1-yard line or further back out. He should be a great addition to this team's offense.
Hold on now. This pick is trading teams.
Adam, what can you tell us about that last pick?
A fundamentally sound offensive lineman whose last collegiate season was ended prematurely by a nasty ankle injury. He's a guy who has the potential to become a centerpiece on the line for years to come. If there's one point of contention about him, it's that after talking to several of my sources, there's a significant worry about the strength of his surgically repaired right ankle. The original injury happened when the ankle appeared to buckle while he was not engaged.